The NFC East in a Thursday night game? Now it truly feels like football is back. Washington just took their first step to reclaiming their division. Daniel Jones actually played well when he had a clean pocket. His mobility also is a force to be reckoned with, but when the pressure is on, he falls flat on his ass or makes a terrible decision. The defense did play decent enough, however, with that one interception from James Bradley. If I'm the Giants, I'm really hoping Saquon gets better. He adds a very much needed rushing attack and really adds another dimension to the offense. Washington didn't even play especially great, but the Giants just handed them the win by constantly just shooting themselves in the foot. Just when I thought that the AFC couldn't get even more stacked, guys, I think the Raiders are good now. Not just their offense, although Derek Carr has gone sicko mode these first 2 weeks, but also the defense as well. Max Crosby was putting pressure on Big Ben almost all the time, and even the secondary did a great job shutting down an elite core of receivers. I will give the Steelers credit, they were keeping it close for a while, especially with that defense, but then, whoops, there goes TJ Watt, and all of a sudden I've broken the Steelers. That groin injury, you hate to see that happen. It looks like he'll be out for a couple months. This is 49ers football. A defensive, kind of boring game with little scoring. Nick Bosa seems to be back to doing what he does best, which is completely wrecking opposing offensive lines. The Eagles, to be fair, also had a solid front seven, and Jalen Hurts tried to keep it interesting, and they did, again, keep it close, but it simply wasn't enough to contain the San Francisco 49ers. They just seem to be, a tier above the Eagles, as they hope to potentially make a Super Bowl one. What are the Browns doing? Allowing 21 points to the Texans? You should have destroyed them, but instead you allowed Houston to keep it close. I thought this defense was supposed to be elite this year, but in your first 2 games, you've just allowed teams to hang in games longer than they should be. A defense with Jadeveon Clowney and Myles Garrett shouldn't only get 1 sack a game. I'm starting to get last year's Steelers vibes from this team. A team with tons of talent, struggling to finish games when they need to, and instead playing down to their opponent when they're in winnable positions. Jacksonville is a baffling team right now. Urban Meyer so far has just not worked out at the NFL level. I do not understand them. James Robinson is a great running back, and yet it feels like he just isn't part of the game plan. Like last week, this game could have been a win, but the Jaguars just don't feel like they're clicking on either side of the ball. To be fair, the Broncos have the potential to be pretty good with Teddy Bridgewater playing decent and that great defense, but the Jaguars, they just suck. I mean, Urban Meyer is out here saying every week has felt like Alabama. Half of their schedule has been against the Texans. Do you think the Saints just forgot they had a game this week? Jameis Winston went back to playing like Jameis Winston. 50% completion and 2 interceptions. They also only ran the ball to Alvin Kamara 8 times. 8 times. This offense runs through him, and if he isn't producing, whether it's from poor play or poor coaching decisions, then this will be a rough year for New Orleans. Last week I said I like this young Panthers defense, but I gotta give the offense credit as well. Sam Darnold isn't by no means elite, but if DJ Moore, Robbie Anderson, and especially Christian McCaffrey, he has enough talent around him for the offense to function well, even against a great Saints defense. Alright, this is what I'm talking about. 2 playoff teams in a close battle. On one hand, you got one of the most well-balanced, flashy, yet efficient offenses in the league. Not to mention an elite defense that put up 2 interceptions. On the other side, the Colts, who is mostly the same thing, great defense, but what I think they did them in was their offense. I mean, Carson Wentz and his crew played well, but they're just not as explosive as the Rams. And if offenses can be explosive, then Matthew Stafford and Cooper Kupp are dynamite. Their next stop, Tampa Bay. Please, yes, please inject this game into my veins right now. Well, I guess Tua time has been delayed a little bit. I'm starting to think the Dolphins are a little bit suspect. That offense is rough, and while their defense was good, they couldn't do much to stop a Bills offense that didn't even play very well. Sure, the rushing game was great for Buffalo, but Josh Allen was a little rough around the edges. Still good enough to get the job done, but he's not looking nearly as good as he did in 2020. The Battle of the Rookies. Mac Jones, Zach Wilson, the futures of the AFC East. Unless Zach Wilson throws 4 interceptions. That's not good. With most rookies, I try not to be too critical, especially when it's just their second start, but the Jets have essentially put all their eggs into this second round overall pick basket. We could be watching the Jets' newest victim being murdered by their own organization. You'd think Jets fans would learn not to have any hope anymore. The Bears, barely holding on to a win against a bad team since 1920. Just like the nickname to their city, their offense is as effective as wind trying to push a mountain. Watch as they intercept Joe Burrow 3 times, yet still let him nearly come back. But don't worry, Bears fans, you still have Andy Dalton. No, not the Red Rifle himself, he's injured. Who will they rely on at quarterback other than their top 10 draft pick? But we can't use him. He's supposed to be a gimmick mobile quarterback similar to Taysom Hill. I guess we'll have to see on the next episode of The Bears. Well, it looks like the Bucs are as good as ever. Their offense has been dominant. Tom Brady is an early runner for MVP. Sure, he's been up against 2 really bad defenses, but the depth he has at the pass-catching positions is unreal. It seems like all of them are red zone threats. Mike Evans is one of the best contested pass catchers in the league. Gronk's hands are unreal in the end zone, and that doesn't include Antonio Brown, Chris Godwin, or Scotty Miller. And the defense played great as well. 2 pick sixes. I will say, however, that their usually elite pass rush hasn't played great this year. I'm sure it'll be fine in the end, but still, it might be something to worry about if you're a Bucs fan, because you don't have that much else to worry about. Oh my god. Arizona, what are you doing? It's not good news when the Vikings are putting up 30 on your team. Kyler Murray was given permission by his parents to play outside with the weird kid from Minnesota. He was having a day, 40 yards, 3 touchdowns, which now that I'm saying, it actually does sound like a regular game for him. Although, again, the Vikings are staying in it. They may be the worst team, but they'll fight till the game is over. Whatever, it's 3 minutes left in the game, and the defense hasn't stopped you yet, just run out the clock, and Kyler Murray gets sacked. And of course, your defense can't stop Kirk Cousins if he was blindfolded and they're in field goal range. What a pathetic way to lose. It sucks that the Cardinals are going to lose this one, but, well, they're just going to kick a clutch field goal, and... What? If the Eagles-San Francisco game was peak 49ers football, then this is peak Seahawks football. Initially dominating an opponent with their offense, it's time we admit that Tyler Lockett is a top 10 wide receiver, but then after the half, what did they do? They completely collapsed. The Titans outscored them in the third and fourth quarter, 24-6. That's classic sea chicken football right there. There were a lot of overreactions from week 1, but the one I fell for was the idea that the Titans' offense had regressed. Derrick Henry, Ryan Tannehill, and Julio Jones are still great, and they proved that. However, that defense is bad, and it may single-handedly keep this team out of the postseason. Oh my god, the Cowboys are good. We're never going to hear the end of it, are we? We all know that offense is deadly, especially the passing game, but what surprised me was the defense. They got some young, hungry guys on that side of the ball. Holding Justin Herbert to 17 points and 2 interceptions is no laughing joke. In the past 13 games where the Cowboys have scored less than 30 points, they've gone winless. Them breaking this record is a great sign. And for the Chargers, it's a slow start. They're playing average, which isn't good considering they're supposed to be playoff contenders and maybe even contenders to win their division, which has the Chiefs in it, and the Raiders, so good luck with that. Holy smokes. Jesus Chris. What the Flacco. Did we just beat the Chiefs? We did. And you want to know why? Because the offense played to their strengths. They stuck to running the ball. Lamar had those 2 interceptions early and a couple of bad deep ball passes, but then was on point for the most part. The passing game was what I wanted to see. We used the speed at the receiver position much better than last year. So far, there is a reason Hollywood is so much more productive this year. It's because we're not throwing contested deep ball passes to him, and we're letting him get open before outrunning pretty much everybody else on the field. Sammy Watkins was also great, especially on underneath routes. Also, the offensive line, even without Ronnie Stanley, played solid. That Chiefs defense might be a problem for them this year. The Chiefs offense was on fire as usual. They were getting pressured more than usual, but Mahomes did a good job avoiding it. But Anthony Averett and some smart double teams completely took out Tyreek Hill for most of this entire game. The secondary is very injured with the loss of Marcus Peters, but honestly, I see potential in them. I mean, they were able to stop the Chiefs for a couple drives, but what about Odafe Oweh? Away, 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 with the saving force fumble and recovered fumble. I'm telling you guys, this man's speed off the edge is going to wreck opposing O-lines. Is it too early to say game of the year? What did I say earlier about overreactions? Are the Packers bad? Of course not. The Washington game was better. Aaron Rodgers and Devontae Adams had a great connection, and the one thing I will note about the Packers is that defense is bad. They were allowing the Lions all day to make passes, and the secondary didn't do too good of a job at stopping them either. I mean, come on. Just fire Kevin King already. Alright, it's the Week 2 Power Rankings, baby. The bottom two remain the same. It's still the Jets and the Jags. The Giants move down. The Falcons move up a little bit. Texans move down. Lions move up. Bengals, Bears. That's pretty much similar to what it's been. Eagles are moving up in the world. Vikings moving down. Broncos, Panthers taking a huge leap. And this week's crap performance is going to the Dolphins. That's why they're in brown. They dropped down 9 slots. Washington stays the same. Saints moved down after they got completely shut out by the Panthers. Chargers, after their loss, moved down. We got the Colts staying at 16, or I guess they were 17 before. Patriots, Cowboys, Steelers, Packers, Seahawks. Entering the top 10 is the Titans. Raiders are number 9. Cardinals are moved down a couple slots. I had them at number 2. Probably a bit of an overreaction on my part. But we've got the 49ers who also moved down. The Bills moving back up after dominating the Dolphins. Then we got the Browns, Chiefs, Ravens with the excellent performance of the week. That's why they're in gold at number 3. Then Rams and Bucks, who will be meeting next week on Sunday at like 4 p.m. That's going to be a game. Let's see where these teams will stack up next week.